Hey Saints, hope you're having a blessed day in the Lord. I just wanted to come here and give you another observation, kind of builds on something we did in the prior videos here. Had a video just really a couple weeks ago here where it looked like the rabbis in Israel were getting really excited because they had found Bible codes saying that expect the Messiah on Purim in this year. And when I took a look at it, we saw they were using the calculated calendar from the diaspora still. And many of us took a look at the actual, biblical way of trying to determine the beginning of a year, which, Passover is supposed to be in the first month of the year. And a lot of us think, and still do, that March was really the Passover time, and the calculated celebration that the Jews are following right now, the rabbis and the Jews are following, would have Passover this year sort of after a leap month in April. So, what was the reason for that? And so I got into that a little bit, that, in the month of March, possibly during the actual Passover, prominent rabbis were saying, that they were expecting those same dates to be Purim. And I was making the point that what if it is Passover? And then we started getting into all the types and shadows of Jesus as the Passover lamb. He was the first fruits of those risen from the dead, speculating a little bit that this might be significant in terms of the rapture, because Jesus was the first fruits of the barley harvest. And the church, after a couple more videos, we sort of arrived at the fact that the church appears to be represented in the Bible as the barley, and the wheat references, like in the New Testament, we looked at the parable of the wheat and the tares. The wheat references were people that came to Christ in the tribulation, and it fits with the harvest model. Barley is winnowed by throwing it up and letting the air blow through it, just like you see the Holy Spirit coming as rushing wind on the day of Pentecost, whereas the wheat gets threshed, and on the threshing floor, a tribulum device used to be rubbed over it to get the hard outer kernel cut off. And that's pretty good picturing for the tribulation saints and the Jews that come to Christ, like the 144,000 in the tribulation period. And so we were making that division that the church is represented by the barley harvest, and the rapture is the sort of the end of the barley harvest and picturing, and the tribulation saints were the wheat harvest. And I thought that the Jews getting the time frames possibly confused is part of what leads them to accept the Antichrist in the tribulation period, because they're looking for Mashiach. And yet in Daniel 9 and in 2 Thessalonians 2, the Antichrist is the first to appear after the church is gone, not the Messiah, Christ. So that leads us to some danger when we see the rabbis in Israel using the calculated calendar, which could be wrong this year. And whether any of that's intentional or not, it could lead to this deception of them accepting the Antichrist versus the real Christ. Well, I just wanted to build on that a little bit. And we didn't do this in the last videos, but it's a good time to do it. Daniel 7:24 and 25, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time. And that's one more indication that that is the plan. This is the Antichrist being described, but in general, that's the plan of Satan. Confuse people as to the times and the seasons, and that's the moeds and the celebrations would be included in that, right, saints? And so potentially getting the calendar mixed up, did we just go through Purim or Passover, might be an indication that Daniel 7:25 is about to be fulfilled. And I just wanted to show you one more example because it's just this week now. So this image, I would say, got overhyped in the news media. It was everywhere. 5 hours ago, it was just posted on the Weather Channel of all places. I mean, it went everywhere. Now this is the Nile River, and it's blood red. The thing is the river itself is not running blood red. It was a heat sensing image taken that the plants that are in the river are reflecting more heat than the surrounding. And so they colored it red because of the heat being reflected. But when you read the articles that came out with this, look on Breaking Israeli News and some of the others, in the Jewish context, they were very careful. It was almost hidden that this was a colored image based on heat that the plants reflected. It was sort of put out there almost like the river was running red. And I'm going to make the point that whether it was intentional or not, it was intentional by Satan. I think this is part of supporting the fact that that calculated calendar must be right, because the Jews believe that they're about to come into Passover toward the middle end of April here, and for them to see a photo of the Nile running red right in the time frame that the plagues would have been striking the actual Nile River red is probably going to stoke them up, 4 more notches, saying this is it, the Messiah is coming, right? And yet this is a human colored photo based on a heat reflection, not based on anything realistic that colored that water red. And so it's really a part of a deception, isn't it? And then this one just came out in the last 2 days here. Saudi Arabia and Egypt announce Red Sea Bridge. This one's got the... So here it is. It looks like they're going to put a bridge across in here. Now, they had speculated about doing this before. Why is this big news now? And I'll argue, again, knowingly or unknowingly, what was the next thing after the 10 plagues? The parting of the Red Sea. And now we've got a bridge being announced, being built to get people across the Red Sea. Again, I think if you were a Jewish person without a lot of biblical literacy or Torah knowledge, and you heard all the rabbis saying April is the Passover, and you see them all getting super excited because they think Messiah is going to show any time now, and then you see a photo of the Nile running red and a parting of the Red Sea, do you think you would be convinced into thinking maybe this is really it? And then when the Antichrist shows up on the scene, you think you just went through Passover? And you think it's about the right time for the real Messiah, and what they may be just doing is getting ready to accept the Antichrist. So I'll leave you there, saints. I just think they're building a story here of they're seeing the plagues coming to Passover, and I really think they're being duped, and what they're going to enter into when the real stuff hits and when the Antichrist comes is going to be Pentecost and not Passover. And I know that they didn't overlap 100% on dates there, but I'm just saying they've got it off in the calendar now. And as I took you through in prior videos, I think Peter in Acts 2, quoting Joel from Joel 2, tells us that Passover is going to be the sixth seal in Revelation 6. And that's after the Antichrist has appeared on the scene. And so I think, with this shifting of the calendar, the Jews will be accepting the Antichrist and then going through first those wars, but then the big earthquakes and hailstones and all that of Revelation 6 will be coming down. And I'm afraid that they're going to think that that's the Messiah that's going to be saving them, and not that they're actually in the time of Jacob's trouble. Well, God bless you, saints. A quick one. I look forward to seeing everybody really soon.